Ta-da! Hello everybody! Welcome back to Gwen TV. And this is Gwen. Alright, well today I prepared a test, a TOEIC speaking test back from July 21st. It's the newest version of the test, okay? So are you ready to have a look at it? Now we're going to go directly into part 1. As always, I tell you guys when you're reading part 1, like the title says, please read the text aloud, okay? In louder voices. I'll read you one of the passages, so listen carefully. The owner of Houston Cafe will be presented with the Best Boss in Boston Award this Sunday. The award is given out annually by the city's mayor to honor business owners who make contributions to the city. Houston Cafe, in addition to selling coffee, tea, and pastries, also donates to help the needy people of the city. Okay, so when I first saw this passage, I got worried that some students might have trouble reading some words, the names here. So the first one is Houston Cafe, right? Well, we hear the word Houston a lot. So Houston, not Houston. In New York, there's a place called Houston, but here, obviously it would be Houston, Houston Cafe. And the second word is Best Boss. That's the name of the award. So it's Best Boss in Boston. So continually, you have to say B sound 3 times. Best Boss in Boston. So you have to make sure that you are pressing your lips tightly when you're saying the sound B. So it's Best Boss in Boston. Notice how I'm really pressing my lips, right? So it's not Best Boss in Boston, but it's Best Boss in Boston. And whenever there's a T in the middle of 2 words, you don't have to actually make the sound. So you don't have to say best boss. You don't have to say best boss. You can just say Best Boss in Boston. And when you go way down there, there's the word contribution, and also there's the word pastries. And also there's a trouble with the TR sound. A lot of Koreans, when they read English and they see TR sound, they try to make clear T and the R sound, like as if they're speaking Italian or Spanish. So they might say contribution or they might say pastries. But that's not how it sounds in English. It's more like the ch, the CH sound. So you should say contributions. Can you hear that sound? Contributions. Or you can say pastries. Pastries. Got it? So no pastry, but it's pastries. And one last word I would like to mention is the word donate. Now, we see this word in many different forms. Actually, there are 3 forms of this word. One is donate, which is a verb, donate. Donate, the stress goes on the first syllable. And another word is the noun form, which is donation. Donation. The stress goes on the second syllable. And the last one is the word donor. Donor. The donor is those people who donate, right? We're indicating people who make donations. So this is also a noun, but you have to say donor. Donor. So the word goes donation, donate, donor. Okay, I know it's pretty hard and tricky, especially some words that look really similar, but you have to know the difference of the stress for each and every word, okay? So I'll read this one once again. Just clearly notice how I am trying to make the clear sounds that I was telling you about. The owner of Houston Cafe will be presented with the Best Boss in Boston Award this Sunday. The award is given out annually by the city's mayor to honor business owners who make contributions to the city. Houston Cafe, in addition to selling coffee, tea, and pastries, also donates to help the needy people in this city. Okay, and we're going to move on to the part 2, question number 3. Always there's one picture, it's in color, but this time the color wasn't so colorful. The picture wasn't so colorful. So it's a very dark room. Okay, when I say it's a dark room, it sounds really scary, but it was a warehouse. And when you look at it, it's really hard to say the word warehouse. You would say room, dark, not a living room, not a bright room. So the word is warehouse. It was taken at a warehouse, and there were only 2 people in the picture. So when you look at a picture and there are not many people in there, you might assume that the picture must have been very easy. But actually that's not the case. Now here was the warehouse, there's a cart, and you guys are used to saying shopping cart, but this wasn't a shopping cart. It's just a normal cart. We load things. So there was a cart, people were standing there talking, and we see some boxes. So you had to talk about everything in the picture, but you know, when there are not many people in the picture, we tend to have time left. That was the problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to describe every single detail of each person. I'm going to talk about the hairstyle, I'm going to talk about the clothes they're wearing, and I'm going to talk about their actions, which is the most important part of your answer for part 2. So listen, I have to time myself. It's really important to time yourself when you're practicing the answers for TOEIC speaking, right? Now here goes part 2, which I have to speak for 45 seconds. This is a picture taken at a warehouse. And there are 2 people in this picture. On the right side of the picture, there's a man. He has dark hair. He's wearing a white shirt and jeans. He's standing and holding a cart. On the left side of the picture, there's a woman. She has a ponytail. She's wearing a green shirt and jeans. She's holding some files and smiling. They are looking at each other and talking to each other. Between them, there are 2 boxes on the cart. In the background of the picture, there are many things such as containers, boxes, and so on. Maybe they are working at the warehouse. Okay, so that was exactly 45 seconds long, and I said everything, basically everything which were in the picture. And also, it's very important to use the expression, there are many things such as. Because when you use this magical sentence, you can talk about basically everything in the picture, especially when there's something like many things in the foreground, or there are many things in the background. As you can see in my background, there are many things here. You can talk about those. You can also just say 2 things, and the rest of it, the word and so on will cover. So make sure you memorize this expression and try to use it throughout the whole test, okay? There are many things such as, let's see, windows, books, and so on, okay? All right, now moving on to part 3. This time the topic was souvenirs, right? Well, recently I've been to Taiwan and I visited Taipei, and also I visited Tainan and had a wonderful time there eating some great food. And when I was there, I bought lots of souvenirs. So actually I did have some things to talk about. I visited Japan, I visited Thailand, and every time I go somewhere, I tend to buy something, so that's called souvenirs, right? So we're going to talk about that. Now, listen to my story, and of course, this time the answer should be 15, 15, and 30 seconds long. Now, the first question is, when was the last time you bought souvenirs, and where did you buy them? Well, last month I went on a trip to Taipei. I bought some souvenirs there. I bought many things such as postcards, magnets, and so on. It was so wonderful and memorable. So that was exactly 15 seconds. And notice for how I do it at the end of each question and answer, I say something like it was, adjective. In this case, I said it was very nice, it was very wonderful, or you could say it was very memorable, okay? I'm talking about how I felt about my trip and buying the souvenirs. And also, I didn't just say I bought souvenirs. I wanted to show them that I know exactly what souvenirs are. So I said something like postcards, or I said magnets, which are very symbolic items of, souvenirs. And in my case, I really honestly buy some magnets wherever I go. So that's why I said souvenirs, postcards, and magnets. Now I'm going to move on to question number 5. And the question number 5 says here, do you think it is important to buy souvenirs for your family or friends when traveling? Why? I actually do think it's important. And I buy bunch of souvenirs when I come back, buy them when I'm on a trip, and I bring them back to Korea. So I'm going to talk about that. All right, here it goes. Yes, I think it's important. When I go on a trip, I can learn many things. I would love to share my experience with others. And that is why I think it is meaningful to buy souvenirs for my family and friends. Okay, So I did say a lot of things here, and I want you to remember something like I can learn many things. I can share my experience. So I like to buy souvenirs for my friends or family. Okay, so those are some words that you can use for your answers as well. And the last question is, if you were to buy souvenirs, what would you buy? I already said it. I buy magnets. And sometimes I buy cups. It's a little bit of my hobby. I like to collect cups, and especially I like to buy cups from Starbucks. You know, like when you go somewhere, there's Starbucks everywhere, and you would buy Starbucks Taipei, you would buy Starbucks Bangkok. I have them all at my house. So that's what I like to buy, but actually that's not in the option. It says stamps, artwork, or food. So I went with the choice food. So listen to my story. If I were to buy souvenirs, I would buy food. When I go on a trip, I like to eat local food. And by eating local food, I can learn their culture and lifestyle. It's very interesting and fun. And sometimes I want to share the experience with others back in Korea. So I like to buy some local ingredients and bring them back. I like to use them and cook for my friends and family. It's a good way to share my experience. So I think it's meaningful. Okay, so actually recently I did this when I went to Bangkok because I love Thai food. You guys love Thai food, right? And I was so into Tom Yum Goong, so I bought some Tom Yum Goong paste. I brought it back to Korea and I cooked it for my family, and my mom actually didn't like it. She thought it was a little strange. She didn't like that fragrance, which I really love. So that's how I do it. I like to share the experience. I tell my mom, oh my gosh, mom, it's so delicious. You have to try this. And of course, some might like it, some might not, but I think it's meaningful. It's like a way of sharing my own experience. I bring the experience back to Korea. So that's why I said again, it's meaningful. Now, for part 3, it's sometimes really shocking to encounter some topics that you're not ready for. And I believe personally, souvenir is not that, unique or outrageous topic, because most of us do have the experience of traveling or traveling to another place or another city and buying souvenirs. So I think it was a doable topic. Don't you think so? All right, we're going to move on to part 4. Now, when you look at the chart, I think some people might have been shocked at the test, thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't look at something like this. This is the first time looking at a chart. Oh my gosh, my teacher didn't tell me about this. But I told my students about this, so I was very confident that my teacher or my students would have done a great job on their test, which I believe wasn't the case for everybody. But anyways, you see, this is like a class schedule throughout the month of May, and it's for all ages. And some classes are for people in 20s, some classes are for people in their 50s and up, and some of them are for children from 6 to 12. And we see the names of the instructors on the right side. And on the bottom, it says the registration period and the registration fee. And you have to remember, for this part, you have to know the verb form of the registration, which is register, okay? Don't make the mistake on that. You have to say register, not registrate. That's wrong. So I'm going to give you right away the first question. It says, when is the last date to register for classes, and how much does it cost to register for the residents? You have to listen really carefully for the first question. It says last date to register and how much is it for the residents. So you cannot just read out the whole 2 lines on the bottom here. You have to specifically mention the deadline, which is the last date, and the price for the residents. All right, so I'm going to give you my answer. I said, you can register for classes until April 24th. I only mentioned the last date, and then it used the preposition until. And then I said, it will cost $20 if you're a resident. So please keep that in mind. Now, always for part 4, it's a one-on-one conversation. You're talking to just one person. So you have to say, if you are a resident, dude, it'll cost $20. Okay. So also the 3 words, it says it will cost. In order to express the money that you have to pay, you can say it'll cost something. It'll cost $20 if you're a resident, period. The second question says, I heard there will be a class dealing with budgeting held in the afternoon. Is that right? Okay, so class budgeting afternoon, and we look through it, it's not in the afternoon. It's in morning. It's in the morning. It starts at 9. It finishes at 10. So we're, talking about something that's not matching here. So you can say, no, you have the wrong information. On May 16th, there will be a class called Responsible Budgeting at 9 a.m. Notice how I said there will be a class called, or you can say there will be a class titled Responsible Budgeting. So that's the title, that's the name of the class at 9 a.m. So it's morning, right? So I said it again, it will be held in the morning. It will be held in the morning, not in the afternoon. Okay, so that's how you say it. A, not B. Is it right? I said it will be held in the morning, not in the afternoon. Okay. The last question says, which sessions would be appropriate for children to attend? Which sessions? And here, there are all ages here on the list. And you, of course, could notice that from 6 to 12 is what we're talking about here. They are the children. So there are only 2 here, like always. So here I'm going to time my answer because I'm pretty sure I will be talking for 30 seconds or a little bit less. So which sessions would be appropriate for children to attend? There are 2. On May 7th, there will be a class called Simple Arts and Crafts at 10 a.m. And then on May 21st, there will be a class called The Magic of Reading at 1 p.m. And both of them are for children from 6 to 12 years old. Please remember that. Okay, so part 4 is not an issue of, having tight time, not too much time to answer your questions. It never gives you a question that you would have to speak fully for 15 seconds or 30 seconds because they want you to focus more on saying right answers, correct answers, of course, in correct grammatical manners, okay? So you should focus on not making grammatical mistakes. So when I was saying this, I said something like, both of them are for children from 6 to 12 years old. If you said it separately, that would be 2 separate sentences, but I sort of made it into one by using both of them, expression both of them as my subject. So both of them are for children from 6 to 12 years old. Means both are the same, right? So part 4, I know for some of you, you might not have seen this kind of chart before, but this is it. It's going to be on the test. I tell my students this will be on the test sometime from time to time. So you should know how to express it, okay? And when you're talking about the name of the instructors, you can say the instructor is somebody. The instructor is Gwen. The instructor is Kevin Briggs. The instructor is Lucy Marcello. You can say those kind of things. And a lot of people ask me, what if I don't know how to read the English names? Well, try your best, okay? It's not like they're trying to test you whether you know how to say the English names correctly or not. It's not the main focus here. The main focus is whether you can make the whole sentence grammatically right, okay? All right, we're gonna move on to part 5. Now, part 5 this time was a phone message. So I'll give a message to you. I'll read out the message for you as if I was calling you, okay? Hi, I'm Ariana Hines, and I'm Richmond Music Supply Store's Assistant Manager. I'm sure you're aware that our store's current special promotion offers free guitar lessons to customers. Initially, all of us thought that it seemed like a good idea. However, I just noticed a big problem. The lessons that we had planned have been overbooked due to a system error. I'm glad that the promotion attracted a lot of customers and have increased the sales. However, I'm concerned about providing free guitar lessons like we promised. And that's why I decided to call you. As our store's head manager, hopefully you can think of something to resolve this issue. How can we please all the people who we offered free guitar lessons to? What should our store do now? Please return my call as soon as possible to give me some advice. You can reach me at extension 4. I'll be waiting to hear back from you, okay? Thank you. Goodbye. Is the message. Okay, so it's the assistant manager calling you, and you are actually the head manager. And right now, we're facing something that always appears on TOEIC speaking test. It's always the system error, right? And it's overbooked. It's either double booked or overbooked. So this time it's overbooked. We're giving guitar lessons, I guess to limited number of people, but this time it's been overbooked. So she's worried that we're not going to be able to provide, all the service to people out there. So in this case, what I do is I tell my students, say you'll open up more classes, or you will rearrange the schedule with the customers, or hire more instructors so you can provide more free guitar lessons. So, or in the end, you would have to, contact the customers, call them, or send text messages, send emails, and explain the situation. That's one thing that you could definitely say. Okay, so for part 5, if you've been on my channel for a long enough time and you've seen the template, it's better to use a template. Okay, it's better to use the template than just doing the freestyle talking for 1 minute. It's really hard to fit everything in there only within 1 minute time. It's got to be very well crafted. It's got to be well designed. So it's better to stay with the template. Okay, and I will read the answer according to the message. So see how I use the template and sort of customize it into this whole situation. Hello, this is Gwen. I heard that you're working at the music store and you are the assistant manager. And currently we are giving free guitar lessons to our customers. However, there's a problem because the lessons have been overbooked due to system error and you don't know what to do. So you'd like to get some help with this matter. Well, first of all, I'm sorry to hear about the situation. However, I'm happy to say that there is a way to help you out. And after looking into the situation, I came up with the following suggestions. First, I think it is a good idea to hold more lessons for customers. That should be helpful. And moreover, why don't you, call the customers and rearrange the schedule? That should be possible. Those are my suggestions. If you need more help, feel free to call me back anytime. Bye. And that's how I exactly say 1 minute long answer. Okay, I press the button exactly at 1. And it says 10120. So that's how you can do it. That's how you can speak for 1 minute exactly. You use a template, you customize it to make it your answer for this question, and voila, that's it. That's all for part 5. Now the last part, it's part 6, and the question is about your company experience, your working experience. So it says, if a company is making a major decision, do you think it would be better to allow one leader to decide or ask a group of people for their ideas? Now, you should know that it's about company situations. So, because the third word says if a company is making a major decision. Now, you need a situation where you're making a major decision, right? And there's a leader part where leader does it all. Or you might have some meetings, share ideas, and people pitch in, and you guys make the whole decision together kind of situation. So I wanted to show you both. So the first one is about having meetings and sharing ideas with other people. So as always, I'll be getting a job at ABC company, and I'm working in the marketing department. That's always the situation. And there comes a problem, blah, blah, blah. So listen carefully. I think it would be better to ask a group of people for their ideas. And there are several reasons to support my opinion. And most of all, it is helpful. For example, last year, I got a job at ABC company. At that time, I worked in the marketing department. One day, I participated in a big project, and there were 5 people in our team. We had to make a very important decision, but everybody had different ideas and opinions. So we had many meetings and we shared lots of ideas. And as a result, we were able to make a good decision. And thanks to everyone's idea, the project was successful. And that is why I think so. Now, my answer is only 50 seconds long. But the thing is, most of you wouldn't be able to speak this fast, and most of you would have some time thinking and making the answers. So I think I always tell my students 14 sentences is just about the right amount of talking that you could do. Considerably, you can talk for about a minute if you have about 14 sentences. So that's how I crafted the story here. So I worked, I had a team project, very difficult situation. We had meetings, we had ideas together, we shared together, had time together, and it was successful. Now, the second one is all about the great leader, and you know the name, Tom, right? Here's my answer. I think it would be better to allow one leader to decide. There are several reasons to support my opinion. Most of all, it is helpful. For example, last year, I got a job at ABC Company. At that time, I worked in the marketing department. And one day, I participated in a big project. There were 5 people in our team, and we had to make a very important decision. But most of us didn't have lots of experience. Luckily, we had an experienced team leader named Tom. He made a decision according to his experience. All we had to do was follow his decision. And thanks to Tom's wise decision, the project was successful. And that is why I think so. Again, my answer was about 50 seconds long. So this time, Tom did it all. He had the experience, he was very wise, he made the decision, and all we had to do was follow his decision. Okay, so for my students, I personally think that first question is first way of answering is a little bit easier than the second way of answering, because for the second answer, I sort of like put in some new expressions there. So it might have been a little bit hard for my students to think of this one, but I think the first answer might have been worked. I'm pretty sure some of my students had the same idea as me, for this question. So for part 6, lots of people, when I see your comments, they say, oh, part 6 is the toughest one. Part 6 is so hard. I know it's hard because you have to speak your opinion. You have to tell them your opinion for 1 minute. But the thing is, you're not going there. You're not like given a white sheet of paper, asked to fulfill that white sheet of paper within 1 minute. Because we're preparing for the test, right? We know what to say. We all know what they're going to ask you about. So you have to have that part of that story ready. So what I tell you guys is have your stories built up, like the basic foundation of it. Like I say, it's ABC Company, it's the marketing department. You always have the coworker or the team leader, Tom, there. And that's where the story starts. And after that, the problems occur according to the question. So you have to be ready. You have to have that story setting ready so you can just take out the story setting and start talking about that, what the question is dealing with. All right. So that was the very recent test set from July 21st. I hope it was quite helpful for you guys. And I get a lot of requests saying, oh, we want more videos in English. I know you do, but I have a lot of projects going on, and I try to come back to the channel like more regularly. And I was so eager to show you my new hair color as well, but we're working on it. We're trying to be here more often. We're going to be there, and we're planning to do a live show during the later half of this year. So be there, hang in there, okay? And I'll be back soon. Bye bye.